Well, welcome. My name is Ketra or Keturah McKittrick. Welcome to part 4 of Betty Edwards' Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. We are going to start with chapter 7, which is called Perceiving the Shape of a Space, the Positive Aspects of Negative Space. So in this first exercise, what I'll be doing is drawing shapes. Betty Edwards says that she wanted to take an advantage of another gap in the L mode. The left hemisphere is not well equipped to deal with empty spaces. We can't name them, recognize them, match them with stored categories, or produce ready-made symbols for them. In fact, the left brain seems to be bored with spaces and refuses to deal with them. Therefore, they are passed over to the right hemisphere. The brain doesn't seem to mind spaces, being more eclectic, more pliable, more democratic, metaphorically speaking. To the right brain, spaces, objects, the known and the unknown, the nameable or the unnameable are all the same. It's all interesting, and should the visual information falling on the retina of the eyes be strange and complex, all the better. So on the sheet of paper, she wants us to draw shapes and have at least two of those shapes touching each other. And she does provide examples in the book. So you're going to draw some shapes, go around them, and then color in the negative space. And then you will see after that is done, I will cut those shapes out, the negative space, put the positive spaces aside, and then try to reassemble them. And I must say this was a little bit challenging because as I'm filling in the negative space pretty naturally, my brain's getting used to the shapes. But actually once I started cutting them out, I got a little stuck, but you'll see that in the sped up video. So anyway, I just wanted to touch base with you. Welcome to my channel. I hope you're enjoying the drawing series. I do realize this isn't the best filming method with this book is brilliant, but as far as filming it for you, hopefully it's been okay. Hopefully it's been enough to inspire you to want to get better at drawing. Now, as you will see, this chapter was pretty challenging for me, even though I understand the concept of negative and positive space. Betty really has you looking at the negative space in a different way that I've really never practiced too much. So this first exercise was nice. It was fun. I didn't feel pressured. I kind of felt like a kid. Yeah, so, but the following exercises, they got a little tough and they challenged me, and it took me, and I apologize, 2 weeks for this video to get out. And the total sum of the recording was almost 2 hours. On the last drawing in this series, I actually spent a couple hours on the last 2 drawings, but I'll let you pause my voice here and you can just follow along for a little bit. Okay, so you can see I am cutting out the negative spaces, and I'll just read to you what Betty Edwards says. So she says, cut out the negative spaces, pick them up, perceive them as shapes, then turn them in various ways, then using paste or tape, put them back together with the positive forms on a new sheet of paper. Now, again, I don't think I used the positive. I'm trying to remember if I used the positive forms. Nope, I did it backwards. I used the negative forms to put them back, as you can see. The instructions are then using paste or tape, put them back together with the positive forms on a new sheet of paper, perhaps of a different color. So I can see now why I got a little frustrated because yeah, I did it backwards. I apologize. Now I do slow down and read the instructions, but so for this exercise, guys, don't put together the negative spaces, which is in the red. I was supposed to put together the positive forms. But anyway, you get the point. This exercise, she says, the point of this exercise is important. As you learn contour drawing, the positive forms and the negative spaces share the same edges, and if you draw one, you have inadvertently drawn the other, which that makes sense, but I've never really thought about it that way. And she encourages you to test this concept again in your mind. So as you can see, I did have to put the positive shapes down to get my orientation. It was fun and kind of frustrating. I thought really this is going to be easy, like a no-brainer, but it wasn't. I really was using my left brain, and yeah, but you can see there I did glue them down later, and I'll show you at the end of the video. So next we're going to go on to doing a viewfinder, and I'll just go ahead and talk about that until we get to the next clip. Betty wants us to try using a viewfinder to form edges. And what she says about that is we are going to bound the perception of the whole thing, positive form and negative spaces within a format, by using an aid to perception called a viewfinder. Now, when I looked at this and I took the measurements, it says draw diagonal lines from opposite corners crossing in the center. In the center of the paper, draw a small rectangle, which I did, and that rectangle should be 1 inch by 1¼ inch. And I was like, okay. So I'm in my studio, so I actually put a chair in the hall, and I found using this viewfinder very cumbersome because one, the view was tiny, and I was fumbling on how to hold the viewfinder and draw the chair at the same time. I did muddle through this one. It was very uncomfortable. It wasn't actually, it was just trying to hold the viewfinder and draw at the same time that I found. Yeah, hard to do. But I did go ahead and make myself finish this part of the exercise. And I'll just read to you what she says. She calls it a paradox, drawing something by drawing nothing. And she says, you'll notice that no descriptive interior lines of the chairs themselves are okay, sorry, I apologize. If the shapes of the spaces are drawn, the object is inadvertently drawn also, but with ease, and by raising the spaces to the same level of importance as the shapes, the drawing also becomes somehow pleasing to look at. That is, the compositional problem is solved. Which, composition, and yeah, it makes sense. The spaces and shapes are unified by giving equal importance to every puzzle piece within the bounding edges of the format. Why is drawing easier when you draw the shapes of spaces? I believe the left brain, having no equivalent name for category or negative space, stops intruding what it knows about chairs and lets the right brain take over. The problem with drawing chairs and tables, as with many other things we might want to draw, is that we know too much about them. We know that tabletops are flat and have square corners, or round or oval. The legs are all the same length. Chair seats are flat. A chair back is at right angles to the seat, and so on. When a beginning drawing student starts to draw a chair or table, its previously stored verbal, analytic, L-mode knowledge contradicts the visual information coming from the brain. Now, I think I took down the viewfinder after a while because I couldn't really see, but I made myself, because the chair was in the hall and in the door frame, I kind of used my door frame as my viewfinder, but it got easier as I went along, and as you can see there, I did peek through the viewfinder to finish up this part of the exercise. So yeah. Alright, so now we're going to do the supplementary exercises, and she encouraged us to use the viewfinder to draw a negative space of a plant, preferably one with complex shapes. I didn't have a plant. I looked through some magazines. I couldn't find anything, so I just decided to draw the plant in the book. So that wasn't actually too bad. I didn't use the viewfinder, of course. I just basically kind of fell back on the previous exercise, but I was consciously aware, kind of putting that picture in the box. So I did use the negative spaces. Kind of like with the pine cone, I got a little bit lost on where I was so busy focusing on the lines, and then when I was ready to join up some of the other spaces, you can see I was trying to figure out a good way to draw that and look at the book at the same time. But yeah, when you get closer to joining other spaces, I kind of got a little lost, kind of like I did in the last one with the pine cone. But I was I was pretty happy with the way this turned out, and yeah, it did. It was definitely a challenge. Like I said before, the other ones became even more challenging, and I'm just really glad I pushed myself to finish this chapter because, like I said, it was, yeah, I don't know what else to say, guys. I would just really encourage you guys to really give this a try and don't give up because you do see improvements, even though it's frustrating at times. Okay, and then the next few exercises you are supposed to draw an ordinary household object. I was trying to find something unusual, so this is like an old-fashioned pasta cutter. And then in the next example you'll see she says to draw negative spaces of a human figure from a photograph. Try to find a complex action pose. So what I did is I cut a photo out of a magazine. You'll see here pretty soon. I cut a photo out of a magazine and then I just drew the box around it, kind of to make it a placeholder. Like you see here, I drew a black square around the object. So that was like my viewfinder because I just couldn't use it. And I encourage you, I think it worked pretty well. I think in hindsight, next time I do this, I would draw the box around on my white piece of paper too, so it'd match. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I will let you take a look at how I did with this one. All right, and so here is, oh yes, I forgot to say, she wants you to turn it upside down to draw the negative space. And this was pretty easy. I did it pretty quickly. Um, Having the box around the cutout helped. And let's see, what can I say? I was going to say something. Yes, drawing it upside down kind of tricked me for about a few seconds, but then I think my L mode came in. My left brain kind of picked it up pretty quickly. So I enjoyed this one. Alright, so now these are going to be, next two exercises are going to be from the book. The first one is Winslow Homer, child seated in a wicker chair. My anxiety grew a little bit in this one because I thought it was going to be hard because there was actually a child sitting in the chair, and I was like, oh no, 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 I'm just drawing the negative space. And she also said to turn, did she say to turn it upside down? No. She said try copy this drawing, which is the Winslow Homer drawing. So this one turned out pretty good. I struggled at first, but I just kind of decided no, it's just the negative space. Don't be fearful. You can do this. You've done it before. Just because of it's a wicker chair of a girl sitting in there doesn't mean you can't do it. So I really just kept going and concentrated on the spaces and lines instead of thinking about if I could do this or not. So this actually surprised me. You'll see in the end, not a bad job. And we'll get to the last picture, which is by Paul Rubens, and I'll go in a little more detail when we get to that part of the video. Alright, so this is the Peter Paul Rubens Studies of Arm and Legs. Yeah, it kind of remind me of the Da Vinci drawings. But anyway, you are supposed to turn this upside down and draw the negative space. So I feel like I started out okay until I got deeper into the drawing, and realized my, what do you call that? When you're meeting up the different shapes, they weren't matching up. What do you call that? Composition. So I worked probably a good 45 minutes on this one, and then later I did another one, and I spent like an hour on it. I was just determined to get this one. It was very challenging. I did a lot of erasing. I did a lot of second guessing. I mean, it just seems like, the other drawings were fine, but then I hit my roadblock on this one. I hit the wall on this one. And I suppose I took a few days in between to finish this because, as maybe you guys struggle too, it's like you really want to do it, but then you're just like, ugh, I don't want to do it. It's too hard. But anyway, I did do it, and obviously I'm showing you the sped up version. Again, guys, I really thank you if you have followed me this long, and I'm hoping you continue with this drawing series. We are probably halfway through the book, and I think there's going to be 1, 2, 3 more sections, and I can't really say any more positive things about the book other than it's challenging. I really encourage you to do it, to take some time for yourself, and I know for sure you will see some improvements. So guys, again, thanks for stopping by. I'm going to leave you to the rest of the video, and I hope to see you next time. And leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. What are your feelings and thoughts about all this? I'd love to chat with you. All right, guys, you have a wonderful day, and I will talk at you guys later. See you in the next video. Bye.